everybody, and welcome to the Spotlight with Sarah. We are in studio today, and we have a fantastic show prepared for you. But first, I would like to introduce these fantastic people I have joining me today. I have guest hosting with me, Lorena Monroe. Lorena, so good to have you.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and welcome to Bonita Productions right here in San Antonio, Texas.
And I also have TJ MAYES joining us today, and TJ is the host of KLRN's On The Record with TJ MAYES, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
You know, we wanted to dedicate this show to what is happening in the community. We're in the 5th month of living in a pandemic.
It feels like 5 years.
I know, it feels like forever. I'm like, we're just going into the 5th month and it just feels like it's never going to end. But we want to say that we want to feel that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we want to focus this show today on the possibilities, the changes, what's ahead, and what we can do as a community to prepare ourselves to move forward with our lives, our children's lives. So TJ is here to share with us a lot of really great information that the city and county are working on, because you may or may not know, TJ is a former chief of staff for Mayor Ron Nirenberg, as well as the Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff. So education, retraining, two of the things that are at tops of people's minds right now. What is the county working on? And right now we're actually coming to you live from Port SA, which is in South San Antonio, and there's a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on at Port San Antonio. For those of you who don't know, this used to be the Kelly Air Force Base, and for generations of San Antonians, especially the Latino working class in the west side, this was the gateway to the middle class. People came here, they had great jobs, they had jobs they could have for their whole lives with a good pension at Kelly. My mom worked at Kelly when she was pregnant with me in the Air Force and she got out. So Kelly, this property is important. My family's important to a lot of families in San Antonio. When the Air Force shut down Kelly Air Force Base, they set up what we now call Port San Antonio. And basically the Air Force said to Port San Antonio, here's a bunch of assets, old hangars, old buildings, figure out what to do. And Port San Antonio is a success story. There are 12,000 people working on the grounds right now. They're in great jobs for companies like Boeing and Standard Aero. And now, thanks to the leadership of the Monroes and the San Antonio Museum of Technology and Science, we have a lot of great educational opportunities happening for people from throughout San Antonio. If you want to talk about SAMSAT a little bit, I know you know more about it than I do.
Well, SAMSAT San Antonio is our science and technology. It is growing every day. We are honored and proud to say we are here at the Port of San Antonio. And just last year, we've had over 30,000 kids that walked through here. So it is exciting with everything that is taking one step at a time, but we're getting there, TJ. So you can tell them a little bit more about what's going on with the port, because I know that you are on the board.
There's a lot going on in Port San Antonio. Under the leadership of Jim Hirschbach, we're about to actually embark on a big project, and that's to expand the SAMSAT, the museum. We're going to build what we're calling an innovation center. There's going to be an esports arena. Kids these days, I guess they like video games more than watching football.
Really? No,
yeah.
You don't say.
I did not know that. But
they do, they love it.
But the market data doesn't lie. And so we're going to have an esports arena here. We're going to have an industry showroom. So the idea is that companies can come and show off the great work they're doing here in San Antonio. We're entering a new world where cyber challenges are going to be important, and the challenges are going to require new and sophisticated hardware. So when we talk about building a tech hub here at Port San Antonio, we're not talking about a bunch of people in hoodies developing software apps, although there's nothing wrong with that. What we're talking about is building an infrastructure that can withstand cyber attacks from not only enemies in China and Iran and North Korea, but kids in their basements who are looking for kicks. We're going to be able to do that because of the work being done here at San Antonio and at Port San Antonio. So a lot of good things here happening at the port, and it dovetails right into what we're working on in the city and the county in terms of training a workforce. We said Kelly Air Force Base was a gateway to the middle class for generations of families. We want Port San Antonio to be the same gateway. So we're going to be working with Workforce Solutions Alamo, and hopefully the city under the mayor's new education plan, to get people trained in new industries, because some of the old industries may not come back. But these new industries, they're going to pay well, and we're going to show that San Antonio has the workforce that companies in the future will know they can invest here.
Well, because what's happening is that we have been so dependent and reliant on hospitality and on other areas that people are losing their jobs in those industries. So what do those people do? So the city and the county are coming up with programs to help retrain folks in the areas of cybersecurity and technology.
That's exactly right. So yesterday, the mayor has the plan that was unleashed at the city council, which would be $150 million. It's a huge amount of money to train 50,000 people to get jobs like nursing certificates. Healthcare is a huge industry, $40 billion a year industry here. 1 in 6 people in San Antonio is employed in the healthcare industry, but we still have a nursing shortage. Now is not the time to have a nursing shortage. So the mayor's plan will help address that. The mayor's plan will also help with cybersecurity. Right near this, where we're sitting on this property, lots of cybersecurity jobs. There are only a few more. The plan is going to help train people to become technicians for airplanes. The aviation industry worldwide is having problems, but not American defense contractors. And we have lots of American defense contractors working on planes right here at Port San Antonio. So the mayor's plan is going to help people with that. How are they going to do that? They're going to give people wraparound services, meaning, let's say I have a toddler at home, and I need to have child care for my toddler while I go and get my certificate, and I need to have some help with a stipend while I get my certificate. Well, the plan would address that. So 50,000 people can get these certificates, get these jobs, be equipped for the workforce under the mayor's plan, but it's going to require voter approval. So we need everybody to really look at the plan and think about whether they think it's best for San Antonio.
And so voter approval, when does that happen? That's going to be in November?
That's going to be in November. So sales tax elections in Texas and here in San Antonio require voter approval. So the pre-K for SA, it's an eighth of a cent. It's about $35, $40 million a year. A lot of kids getting great educations through pre-K for SA. That's going back to the ballot in November for an 8-cent sales tax. So if I spend $1 at the gas station, an eighth of a cent of sales tax on that dollar goes to the pre-K for SA. There's also discussion about what we're going to do with the other 8% sales tax. Right now, it goes to a very popular program, the Edwards Aquifer Protection Program, and the Linear Creekway Development Program. I spent a lot of time training for half marathons on those trails, and I don't want to see that money go away. But I think the mayor sees an opportunity in this crisis to really invest in our future and think strategically about where San Antonio needs to be. And if we do this, it's like when JFK said, we're going to the moon, and we went to the moon. Ron Nirenberg saying, we invest in our workforce, people are going to invest in San Antonio, and we're going to have upper middle class community that we've only dreamed of.
And that is big. That is big. We've been here now for a few years, and it is amazing of how much the port of San Antonio has grown. It is amazing of the power of the companies that are coming and moving in here and making the port of San Antonio their home to establish their companies. So the opportunities are amazing. I am so excited that you have that passion and the driven of everything that you're saying, because there's nothing more powerful out there than supporting education.
Especially when you do it around here. I mean, Port San Antonio is in the southeast side of Bexar County, historically underinvested in, unfortunately. Edgewood School District has trouble because it's one of the poorest school districts in the country. So if we have the opportunities right here, we can build that bridge, and those students can have the same opportunities as I had on the north side or other people have on the north side. So it's not just about opportunity, it's about equity, and we are building that infrastructure right here at Port San Antonio.
So if you're somebody at home who has lost a job because the industry is having some problems right now, and you're looking for something else to do, retraining, I mean, these are the kinds of programs that are going to be available to you, so you need to be able to sign on to them and make sure you know how to get involved and be a part of the programs. And of course, we'll have some information on how you can keep up with what's happening, because this is going to be happening quickly. And you know, you need to get on board if this is something that you're concerned about with your family and with your futures. And there's another exciting thing happening also within the Alamo Community Colleges. There's an effort to also start programs where all tuition would be paid.
That's right. It's called the Alamo Promise. And Dr. Mike Flores is the chancellor at Alamo Colleges. He's an amazing man. He was the president of Palo Alto before. And he came up with this Alamo Promise program, which is somebody could go to an Alamo Colleges and get their degree paid for. That's an associate's degree paid for. You think about all the people who are graduating with student loan debt. I mean, I had it. It is horrific. But people right now are graduating with an associate's degree through Alamo Promise before they're getting their high school diploma. So they're 18, they're leaving high school, and they have an associate's degree, and that means less money they have to borrow if they want to go on to a four-year college, or it means that they're equipped for the workforce right at 18 so they can get going.
And it's just amazing of how many talented people we have right here in the heart of San Antonio. Young teenage kids are amazed. I mean, I see them walk through the museum, and I mean, they are hungry to learn. They are hungry to grow. And what a beautiful opportunity that we have right now with the city, with the mayor, with everybody's support, because it takes a team. It takes an army squad. But everybody is out there supporting the same mission. Education. And all those single parents out there, you're not alone. We are here to help you and support you.
Absolutely.
And another thing that people are really concerned about as parents is the digital divide. there's an imbalance in what kind of technology people have in different parts of the city. From what I understand, is it 25% of San Antonio does not have access to internet or does not have a computer or a tablet. So there's an effort to, bring those people along and help them have the access they need to, more than ever, get their education, get their kids' education. They need to have access to that. So there's also efforts to make sure kids have that technology available.
That's exactly right. One way to look at the pandemic is that it's exposed the inequalities and made them worse. And that's nowhere more apparent than the digital divide. So 25% of people in San Antonio, students in Bexar County, don't have access to the internet. They don't have connectivity, or they don't have devices. The schools are doing a good job of making devices available. So East Central Independent School District, Northside Independent School District, San Antonio Independent School District, but we still have a connectivity problem. The San Antonio has spent a lot of the CARES Act money, that's federal money that's come in to help try to address this issue. I saw in the paper just the other day, they announced a new program where they're going to use traffic light infrastructure to try and get connectivity to people. A lot of great organizations are doing great things to make Wi-Fi available to students, but we really need to think about how we want to invest in the digital divide. And I'm going to give just a little bit of historical example. My wife hates when I do this, but I just can't help myself. If you've never been to Paris, it's my favorite city in the world.
Oh, yes.
Those wide boulevards. You know why they were designed that way? Cholera pandemic.
Oh.
They wanted to give people space because of the cholera pandemic.
Really? Yeah.
Sanitation in London was built because of cholera. So we have these great innovations in infrastructure that occur just because pandemics required us to rethink how we're going to invest in infrastructure. We need to do the same now. We need to do it with the digital divide and having broadband infrastructure available to everybody.
That's a great opportunity. That's thinking smart.
And what a great analogy. What a great comparison. That, it's happened before, and communities change how they build. We have got to make some changes, and we're working on those changes right now. The city and the county trying to think of ways to do it. Of course, it's great to see the business community also coming together and try to be innovative and forward-thinking, and how do we need to change what we're doing today. And a lot of the things that we've seen, also a side effect of the pandemic, has been how charities function, how they operate, how they fundraise. We can't fundraise the way we used to anymore.
Right.
We used to have galas. I was just telling Lorena last week that we haven't been to a gala all year. She's usually at galas, and she's like, I've got a table here, you want to join us there? And nothing. So charities have to figure out a way to raise money and to help the people they do. Like, we were having a lot of issues with mental health.
Yes.
People suffering from mental health issues because they're stuck at home or they're not seeing their doctors. So how are charities going to be? How is the city and county going to help charities?
So especially on mental health and substance abuse, a lot of the nonprofits that treat these problems, it's not like they were operating with a wide margin. They were operating on the margins, really on the margins. And so when they kind of had to close down for new inpatients, let's say a mental health facility or a substance use facility, they had to ramp up their telemedicine infrastructure. Well, that's expensive to do. So there's actually a program through the county, it's a social services resiliency program, $4.5 million they're spending to help those nonprofits with the costs they incurred because of dealing with the pandemic. So that's good, but we do need to be thinking about mental health long term. Mental health has been stigmatized for all of human eternity, right? There's always been stigma, but everybody knows somebody who's had maybe an issue with depression or anxiety, and we're starting to see the last 4 or 5 years in the county, they've really been thinking about how can we invest in mental health more. Commissioner Justin Rodriguez last year found a $7 million dedicated fund to invest in mental health infrastructure. He announced last month that some of that money is going to go to healthcare workers who are on the front lines of the battle with COVID right now. But if we can find a way to keep that investment in mental health going, especially preventative programs, we'll spend less money overall. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if we can treat people early on if they're having mental health issues, then we won't have to spend so much money in a crisis situation. So
right.
It's about getting people the services they need. It's about making our community a healthier and happier place. And it's about saving money. And who's against any of those three things?
Yeah, that's right. It's about saving money and also letting everybody know where everything's happening. So if you everybody take the time to look at everything that San Antonio is doing, the solution to your problem is right on the tip of your fingers.
It's right here in San Antonio.
And for substance abuse programs?
It's been a real challenge. After a couple of years of making a lot of progress in the opioid epidemic, where overdoses had actually started to go down after 20 years and going up, they've skyrocketed again.
And why do you think that is?
It's the biggest relapse trigger of the century. So you have a huge economic depression. People are losing their jobs, which is a huge condition. that leads to substance abuse. We've seen it in communities of all different ethnicities, all different socioeconomic status. Recovery resources, it's in person. There's a really important community aspect to AA and A. And you just don't get that over Zoom. So people are struggling with their community, they're struggling to find purpose in their lives, especially if they're struggling economically. So we've seen rates of substance abuse go through the roof. We're going to have to address that. We're going to need to find the resources to address that. As you know, I'm working on one way that we can find those resources, but it's something we're going to have to address. But just like any other emergency situation, you're triaging. So we're just dealing with what's right in front of us, and then we need to think long-term about what those investments need to
Yes,
be.
and it's one step at a time.
One step at a
When
time.
you do one step at a time and do it right, you don't have to do it twice.
That's right.
And that's exactly what the city of San Antonio is doing. And I am amazed of all the hard work of what the mayor has done, along with the entire team behind him, to do what San Antonio is doing.
San Antonio can only do that with people like the Monroes coming to Port San Antonio and building enormous infrastructures of opportunity for children. I mean, I took my daughter when she was 6 months old to see the Tesla coils at the museum, and I've never seen her so interested in anything. So thank you for what you're doing. We can't do it without you.
Yes, well, thank you. No, and thank you to the Port of San Antonio for believing in my husband, David Monroe, and thank you for all the wonderful support, and most of all the love. Because when you have love in your heart, everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. And Sarah Lucero and her lovely husband are also huge supporters of San Antonio and many, many other nonprofit organizations out there. And believe me, for all the nonprofit organizations out there, we are going to come out with a solution for everyone. That's why Bonita Productions is here to put everybody on the spotlight with Sarah Lucero.
Yeah, thank you, Lorena. Well, and in case you're wondering, well, how does TJ know all of this stuff? You know, he's the host of KLRN's On the Record with TJ Mays. Well, he was the former chief of staff for both the mayor and the Bear County judge, and his law firm works closely with the county. So he's still very, very, very connected with everything that's going on at the city and county level. So we really appreciate all this wealth of information that you've shared with our viewers today, because people have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and they want to know, you know, how to move forward. Give us some ideas. So you've given people a great number of ideas and opportunities that are going to be coming up and coming their way. They just have to reach out, make that call, you know, check in online, find out how to get involved with the program. So thank you so much for sharing that information with us today.
And thank you for allowing me this platform. It's a wonderful studio. It's a wonderful program you're doing here. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Oh, great. Thank you. And
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
right, and if you would like to be featured on the Spotlight with Sarah and Lorena Monroe, you just give us a call and contact us. You can contact me at sarah@sarahlucerofitness.com. So thank you so much for watching the Spotlight with Sarah. We'll see you soon on another episode.
Hasta la vista.